Hello there everyone, UXW Bill here, and today we have a very naughty pickup truck that we'll be dealing with. So how's about I quit slinking around the place like a panther, ha ha, and we'll take a closer look at what's wrong with it.
Hello, Keykeeper here. Woo, come on. Woo! I could do this all day.
Oh, this does look particularly serious. As it happens, I was making my rounds in this ready-made pile of manufactured grief, and for a while I'd been hearing this kind of whirring noise coming from the front end, which really did not strike me as a huge surprise since I knew that there was a torn boot on one of the CV shafts. This is, after all, a four-wheel drive pickup truck, as I'm sure many of you are already aware. Well, the other day, a couple weeks ago actually, was going down the highway making my rounds yet again, and all of a sudden I started hearing these unsettling noises from the front end, various clunks and clacks and really loud roaring noises from time to time, and then I knew I had a very bad feeling that I'd probably sunk a wheel bearing. Check this out. See what that's doing? I'll give you a hint. It's not supposed to have that much run out in it. And the last time I drove this truck was probably about 2 weeks ago, and when I backed it out of the driveway and headed forward down the street, oh, it was just roaring to beat the band. So I stopped right then and there. Been driving my late grandfather's car ever since. And the Keykeeper, he's helping me out, but I think he's trying to tell me something here. He even rolled his toolbox out, complete with the collection of balls from ball bearings that had failed. Check those out.
Slingshot ammunition. And I even have a makeshift slingshot.
Oh, goodness.
Must sound enough to draw that back.
Well, it's a good thing those garage doors aren't in any better repair than they are. Unfortunately, that was one of my late grandfather's pastimes in his twilight years. But if we had the other wheel raised up here, you'd be able to wobble it, and you could tell it wouldn't do that because the wheel bearing on that side is still good. Which is the interesting thing about this. Whenever I heard the noise, excuse me, it sounded very much like it was coming from the passenger side of the truck. So we'll take things apart and we'll see what's going on here. I know there's a new wheel bearing around here somewhere, but I haven't personally seen it yet.
It's inside.
It's inside, okay. Unfortunately, some damage has been done to the tire.
This tire might need to be replaced.
I say unfortunately because to put 4 tires on this truck was a cool $1,000. So this is not good news.
I don't know, it might be okay. We'll see how it goes. Bad tire.
I say you ought to kick it again.
No alignment for you. Throw it locked so I can get access to the other side.
All right. It's probably gonna be angry at me. Yeah, they got an ABS fault light. It's one thing I've noticed about this truck, and I don't know if it's a firmware bug in the body control module or whatever's responsible for the chiming. How am I making it over there? Am I almost there? But this thing, sometimes it has phantom chimes.
Yeah.
Other times it has erratic or long delayed chimes.
Yeah.
And the chiming is of course generated in the radio, and this is not the first radio I've had in this truck. The original was a CD only model. I'm pretty confident it's not that. I don't know, maybe it's some kind of a firmware bug or something. That's another thing I'm not sure about. In all the time I've had this truck, I've never noticed that the steering column locks. And I suppose, being that it began life as a rental, someone probably could have broken it. It's really hard to tell. But here we are, well within the mechanics of a front wheel. And you can see the CV shaft boot in there coming off of the front differential. This truck has a very strange looking differential in the front. It's not like I'm used to seeing where you have the traditional pumpkin and everything. It looks quite a bit different. And here's the brake caliper and the pads. And there's the wheel bearing assembly itself. Here's our spiffy new wheel bearing, which will turn rusty and old looking in no time at all under here. Especially with the way they salt the roads for better flavor here in Illinois.
Preservative. They gotta make them last as long as they can because Illinois broke.
that's
they ain't got no money.
Oh man.
You're not gonna give me that socket back, are you? That's okay. I've got bigger tools than you do. Good thing those sockets got a lifetime warranty on them.
Pretty sure this is the kind of theory that works when you're using a hammer to repair your car. That the hammer becomes a divining rod that seeks out expensive parts not far from what you're trying to hit.
Like a computer?
Yeah, like a computer. You know, you're going.
I got a computer in at my employer the other day, and Ashley, she dropped it on the bench, and I'm like, "That's a computer. You probably shouldn't do that."
No, probably not. It might have an SSD in it if they're real fancy. And then you can throw it down a flight of stairs if you want to. I still don't recommend it.
Okay, I need you to get in there and turn the wheel the other way.
All right.
So I can get to the last fastener.
Yeah, it should be dinging like crazy with the key and the switch, but okay, now it is. It didn't do that a moment ago.
Don't push the brake pedal.
I'm not going to push the brake pedal. That dinging would drive a person batty, and I'm already halfway there. You know that.
Yeah. Turn it to an angle. Like
Which way?
Like you're gonna make a right turn.
All right.
So I can really get the swing at it.
Oh boy. Power steering is such a blessing. You don't realize what you have until you don't anymore. As with many of the virtues in life. Yeehaw. You ever wonder why having your car worked on costs so much?
This should work.
It's all the music licensing rights for Hammer Time. Yeah, that was a bad joke. Something's ringing. I think I better go answer it. You want me to hammer on that?
No. But I do have something I can hammer on.
Remember, never force anything. Get a larger hammer. The preceding short film starred the Keykeeper as, there's no pun too painful to make around here, Poe Hammer-On. Won't make much sense to you unless you've seen the latest Star Wars film. So let's see what we've got here. It's a thoroughly spent wheel bearing. It did not fall apart. I really thought that it might. We'll try to put some grease in the Keykeeper's vitamin water here. But yeah, you can definitely tell that there's way too much run out there. If you look very closely at that edge, right about now I'm sure that someone's getting ready to post in the comments box, but I can't see it. It's not in high definition. Get a monitor or a TV with a better upscaler already. Because if it weren't for standard definition, you wouldn't be watching my videos at all. You can tell that this thing's got a bit of a burr in its saddle, to use a very technical term, because it just doesn't turn at all smoothly. It's very gritty, and it wants to bind up. And in fact, it was wanting to bind up when I was making tight turns at low speeds into parking spaces. About the time I would hit the brake, it would actually trip the ABS, because the computer was seeing the difference in rotational speed between the two front wheels, and it was thinking that I was about ready to spin out or crash into something, and it's too used to my regular style of driving, I guess, and it was trying to save the day. But alas, it was doing so in error, and it didn't know any better. This is another sure sign that you're doing things properly here.
Just fixing the threads that I hit. Didn't really have much of a choice.
So you think you can shorten that without any ill effect?
I'm not going to shorten that. I'm going to clean the threads up.
Oh, I thought the threads were destroyed.
No. This is a little trick I learned working at an automotive shop. When you're too cheap to buy the proper tool, you can use a hacksaw blade. All you're doing is you're clearing the valley out.
Well, they look better than they did. Because at first I thought they looked like they'd just been hopelessly smashed. And before any clever clogs in the viewing audience decides to flame us for our choice of thread cleaning tool, yes, we do have a proper rethreading and thread cleaning and repair set. And here's a little sidebar on the exciting subject of wheel bearings. If you're doing this sort of repair on a vehicle that you care about, or that you have any intention whatsoever of keeping for the long haul, well, I'm here to tell you that you very definitely get what you pay for when it comes to wheel bearing quality. And we have personal experience with this because for the longest time we put just the cheap Chinese, AutoZone and similar, or O'Reilly's or wherever, wheel bearings on the Park Avenue, and those things, they're just garbage. They didn't last. It was not the worst case of China pride that I've ever seen, but it was certainly one of the better ones. Here are these bolts, these studs that the Keykeeper worked on resurfacing. There's the damaged one. You might be able to see it there as I turn it. The threads are looking a little dinged up, but they work just like they're supposed to, and of course the rest of them are thankfully undamaged. It's one of those things that if you were really being careful, you could avoid, but sometimes crap happens, and you just have to deal with it and recover from it the best that you can. Now this is all tied down, and I want to make sure not to break any of it. Let's see, this is stiff, but it's new. So I may not be able to turn it by hand, especially since I've got one hand dedicated to holding the camcorder. But this will get smoother as it breaks in and wears in and establishes a normal pattern of wear. Gosh, I hope that's rust and not some kind of blood or something from a previous assembler. That would not be good. So yeah, this thing will ease up over time as it gets broken in. And this, of course, is the signal wiring for the ABS sensor. Very interesting how this works. Let's see if I can get up here without hurting myself. It's not a good idea to stand on a 5-gallon bucket. But you know me, I'm the master of bad ideas, and I'm not going to let piddly little things like common sense and knowing better stop me. right down there is where the ABS sensor would plug in. We just cut the wire off of the old wheel bearing. Nobody's ever going to miss it. This is part of the truck's wiring loom right down here. And then the second part that's there in the background that you can just barely see underneath that wiring loom tube, that's the part that actually is associated with the wheel bearing and the ABS sensor. You get past these wiring looms here and look down past those brake lines and you can really see it a lot better. Maybe we can even shed some light on the situation, although it doesn't look like it's going to do much. Of course, it is a sunny day. So the Keykeeper's taking a break, and I've got to go inside and join him because he's actually replacing a sink, not a sink, a faucet in his bathroom, and we need to clean up the sink basin, he and I, so I'll be back in a flash thanks to the magic of video editing. Okay, I spent a little time puttering around with this, and it was just a little bit sticky, probably because it's been sitting in a warehouse for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. But you can tell how much easier this turns and how much quieter. Again, I don't really want to turn it too much because I don't want to mess up this sensor wiring. Wouldn't want to get a broken wire in there, though I suppose that what I'm doing here is nothing compared to the workout it gets being attached to the end of that steering system and that driving output shaft. Now let's just compare and contrast that. That's Keykeeper wire brushing, not the sound of the wheel bearing. And then here's the and then here's the old one. And yeah, it's just wow, that's just stuck tighter.
Here, I want to show him something.
He wants to show us something. I think this means get ready for a trip to the emergency room.
Well, he's doing it on the truck.
Well, it's possible to see the gap change right there.
Yeah, that's showing.
I was demonstrating it to the camera just a moment ago.
Hell, it wants to lock up on you.
Yeah, and it, like I say, when I was turning into parking spaces and stuff at low speed, and I'd hit the brake, it'd throw the ABS every time.
It's locked up right now.
Yeah.
Try to turn that.
Oh, yeah, it's shot.
Junk.
Good thing that stopped short of hitting the garage door, although again,
That didn't really make much of a difference.
yeah, it's been backed into a few times by my late grandfather. This is probably going to be one of our next big projects when we turn our attention to this garage. Give this a little coat of paint, maybe even replace this, because I'll bet it's rotten down toward the bottom. I don't know what set him off, but all of a sudden, as the Keykeeper put it, it feels like we're in the middle of a Hitchcock film.
What's that mean?
The Birds. It's a film by Alfred Hitchcock, a horror film. Keykeeper is presently on the other side of the wheel well, dealing with a plastic piece that broke off inside the mounting hole. And he's not the only one that's going to get to do such exciting things, or if you're a pessimist, such indignities that do not bear mention in polite company, because look what broke off in that hole! Yes, it's just a good time in a basket, isn't it? Something in a basket, certainly. a hand basket. Yeah, I'm going to have to get that out of there. You won't be able to do that. Maybe he can do it better than I can. Well, you sheared the top off of it, but there's still something in the hole.
Never fear.
All right, it's open now. You want me to pop it in there?
They gave us an extra clip.
Probably in case you break one.
Where's the fitting at?
Just a second, I'll find it. Well, that's why you don't stand on 5-gallon buckets that are turned upside down. Because you'll get what's coming to you sooner or later.
It's a necessary evil.
Well, the truck's ignition has been on this whole time, which may not have been the best idea. Guess we'll find out if it's got a good enough battery in it or not. But I wonder if it's still going to be complaining about the ABS sensor. It would certainly appear that it is. Probably going to need a drive cycle to reset that. Yeah, but can it do that?
Okay.
There we are, all hooked up again. Just in time for the brake rotor. And of course our lovely new wheel bearing did come with the wheel studs pressed into it, which is always a time saver. What are you looking for?
Where are your wheel nuts at?
The lug nuts?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I'll look for them. We were too organized. Instead of just leaving the lug nuts laying on the ground, he put them into a container. And they hid from us.
We'll hope I picked the right size. I bet fine it is. Okay, we'll hook.
Okay, we went ahead and rotated. Well, we exchanged really. It's not a full rotation, not a full dress rotation. The rear tire on the driver's side with the front tire on the driver's side. And as some of you in the audience are probably thinking about commenting, this is kind of an uncertain point. You know, this tire's got enough wear on it that the keykeeper feels that there's a possibility of a slipped belt involved as a part of this wear, maybe a cause. I don't know enough about tire wear patterns to really speak intelligently about them, other than I knew that didn't look very good when it came off of there. But hopefully this tire's not ruined. For right now though, we're just going to keep an eye on it over the next several hundred miles. See if maybe this tire up here starts picking up an undesirable wear pattern as well, because that would indicate that more than just simple wheel bearing run out and failure was to blame for this, as the truck would need an alignment previously mentioned. Boy, that thing makes a lot of noise. But we're just about on tilt for having everything back together. Now comes the point where we collect all the tools, and I don't know too many people that count their tools before they start a job to make sure that they still have the same number that they started with. You know, screws is pretty easy, but tools are another story entirely. And it truly has been a while since I drove this truck last, because if we can actually see it, thanks to the magic of the scanning electron handycam, I haven't actually set the clock forward for DST. Is that getting your thigh workout in? Is that your version of a Thigh Master?
No.
We're getting pretty close to the point where our work is about ready to wind down. And as it always does, our work will be ending with, you guessed it, a pretty big letdown.
You're hopeless. Move my wire brush.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that in a tire.
Everybody clear?
Death by 1,000 little holes. Gee whiz! You didn't let your car down that briskly.
That's because this is a 4-wheel drive truck. It can handle it.
Oh, I think it's just because it's UXW Bill's truck.
Well, if you really want to know, it's that right there.
Yeah, that's the problem right there. That's a problem signal. It should light up whenever the truck is on.
That signal.
Yeah, it's like a bat phone or something. Should light up whenever the truck is on. There should be a bow tie shaped malfunction indicator in the instrument panel to say, you moron, you should have bought a Ford or a Dodge or maybe something Japanese. Then you could learn about a whole new set of problems.
Yeah.
All right, well, all we have to do now is put the decorative
What's
trim
this wee
covers
stuff?
on.
I think you're going to be doing it.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be doing it. I'm the guy who took them off. First, I got to figure out what I did with them. Here's one of them. See, this is the problem when you throw stuff all over the place while you're working, as we are wont to do. Then you have trouble finding it a little bit later. So now we torque the lug nuts to spec.
It's Dutch. Good and tight.
I don't know. Have I done anything to irritate the key keeper lately? Otherwise, they might tend more to being loosey-goosey.
5 foot-pounds feels tight.
Alright, of course this thing is plastic, so unlike the rest of the wheel, it doesn't rot out. These are heavily corroded. I'm sure many of you have noticed that. Maybe some of you are even planning on commenting about it. But they don't leak air, and they don't seem to have any problems with balance or integrity. So, yes, there you have it. Use an impact hammer to put these on. You know, that's the General Motors approved way, because then at the dealership shop they can sell you another one for $99.99 per, payable upon receipt of services, of course. Now, despite the fact that we're bothers, that's right, he bothers me and I bother him, the key keeper and I do get along famously well.
Is there anything on my backside? I don't want to mess up your seat.
No, not really. But he thinks that his expensive-looking code pod is actually capable of resetting ABS errors, and I, for the record, disagree with him. But we will see. And that is, of course, assuming that he knows how to use it. Yes, I have a couple of engine computer codes as well.
Well, that won't be that big of a deal.
Something about evaporative emissions control. Some stupid thing that I'll fix at some point when I...
And the number 7 cylinder misfire detected.
Really? I wonder when that happened. Well, I haven't loaned this truck to you, so... See, I bother him and he bothers me. Like any good set of bothers would. I think if we just drive it around a little bit, that light will turn itself off.
We'll pull the battery for a while.
Yeah, but then I'll have to reset the radio clock.
But you have to reset the radio clock anyway, because it's not right.
No, all I have to do now is advance it an hour.
I'll advance something an hour.
Now you come here and try that. Well, it still runs, obviously, so we clearly haven't been fixing it long enough.
Yeah, where's my lunch at?
I don't know, did you order it yet?
You gonna pay for it yet?
You gotta have money to pay for stuff. Alright. Well, I guess while we're in the course of making this video and exploring every mechanical facet of this truck along the way, or at least a few of them, that I probably could be bothered to set the clock. Now, there's two ways to do this. There's the easy way and there's the hard way. The easy way involves tuning to a friendly neighborhood radio station that happens to be broadcasting RDS clock time, pressing the hour and minute buttons at once, and just waiting a moment. But unfortunately, as you can now see, the only radio station in this area that broadcasts RDS clock time doesn't compensate for DST. Now, their clock is always pretty accurately set, as you can see, pretty much synchronized with reputable sources, but I guess nobody's bumping it forward, or maybe their equipment doesn't allow for that. So now I have to rub together my two brain cells, see if I can figure out how to set this. There we go. That was easier than I thought. Now I just have to wait a minute for the normal display to come back. And once again, just because this is my video and I can do things like that, show you the difference between the RDS feed, which is now saying no update, so I might have to wait a couple minutes for that to come in again, and the daylight savings compensated time. You know, it just so happened to dawn on me that the key is in the off position, and yet the radio is still turned on like it has retained accessory power, despite the fact that the door is clearly open. And obviously the body control module knows that because the dome lights are on. They've not been turned on manually. So I don't know what's up with that. Probably another one of those General Motors electrical system wonders. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That is pretty weird. It's never done that before. Sometimes it's a little intermittent about realizing that the doors have been opened. I'm not sure how that's accomplished on this truck because there's no little push-button style switch anywhere and there's nothing obvious on the door. The way I think it's done is through magnetics. I think there's some sort of a magnetic sensor of some kind. There is this little guy down here, but that doesn't actually seem to do anything any time that I've ever played with it, so one of those mysteries of life, I guess. I don't know why the radio is sticking on like that. That is very strange. Oh, there it turned off. And now it's sounding the key in chime, so I don't know how the logic could get in a state where the dome lights are on and the override is not set to turn them on, but the chime and the retained accessory power are still going. Maybe just another firmware foible in this thing's computers. Between the keykeeper and myself, we can tear up about everything, and since we didn't succeed in tearing up the truck, we're presently taking a look at the composition of this wheel bearing. Looks like it's actually got cylindrical style roller bearings in it, as opposed to proper ball bearings.
That one's been knocked over. That one's knocked over. It's missing, I'd say, one or two.
Where did the missing ones go?
They probably went to wheel bearing heaven.
That sounds technical.
And they've been really hot, it looks like.
I'm not surprised by that. Even under normal operating conditions, they get almost too hot to touch. But yeah, it looks like they've been working on grinding themselves up for some time. And maybe that's what happened to the missing ones. Maybe they just got obliterated by being ground up into nothing under extreme heat, torque, and speed. This is probably the kind of job for which you ought to have eye protection.
Oh.
Because, you know, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye, and then it's all fun and games except for you with your one eye.
Then I can be a pirate. Arrgh!
Uh-huh.
Throw the wheel bearing down.
Does that mean you pillage, plunder, and loot wheel bearings instead of buying them?
That's right.
It's a very interesting look inside how this was designed. They almost look like the backside of bullet shells.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of similarity.
This is a Remington 45 ACP cartridge.
Yeah, take a look at that. It's not that dissimilar. I mean, obviously these are a lot flatter because you don't fire them out of... Well, you probably fire them out of a gun.
I know. Let's put some in there and... we got.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong if we filled that with bullets and put it back on the truck and went driving? It'd be like that urban legend about the guy who discovered that the AGC fuses in his truck were about the size and shape of a bullet. put one in there, and of course that brought the headlights back, but it also resulted in the bullet heating up, and as the apocryphal tale goes, which probably isn't
big words.
probably isn't pronounced 100% correctly, the bullet heated up, discharged, and injured the guy in a very sensitive location.
You're good to go now.
Is this, have we just visited the
Oh,
Chinese wheel bearing factory where that might have been put together?
It's like the...
Oh, they found you now.
What does he want?
And now it's time to celebrate a job that was at least passably well done with some wonderful pizza. Got enough coupons to get one for free, which is nice. And the ABS error has reset itself as I had thought that it would. Once this thing's speedometer or vehicle speed sensor crossed the threshold at which the ABS self-test was conducted. Brakes have good pedal feel. I pumped up the pedal a couple of times since we were messing around with that caliper on the driver's side front. You just want to make sure you do that so you don't have an unexpectedly mushy pedal, or you don't crash into one of your other unroadworthy wrecks along the way, because you can't really have that. But things definitely seem to have gone well. The truck sounds a lot smoother than it did. Maybe I'll even get a little better fuel economy. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Of course, now I've actually got to clean all the crap out of it, which I'm not looking forward to. I certainly am glad to have my truck back, and I really appreciate the efforts that my brother, the keykeeper, put into repairing it for me. It's something I can do myself, but I don't have the widely assorted collection of specialized tools that he has ready access to from his tenure at a dealership. And don't get me wrong, I think that the Ford Panther platform cars are excellent vehicles, but there are just certain things that I prefer about my truck, not the least of which being the fact that I am definitely a truck kind of a guy as opposed to a car person. But if the Ford Panthers were still made, they would certainly be the only cars that I would even remotely consider buying in this day and age. I'm just not fond of new vehicles with all their electronic nannies and things like that. I want something simple, robust, reliable, no touchscreen radio, none of that malarkey. The other thing that I vastly prefer about this particular vehicle, as well as my Caprice station wagon, is the fact that both of them have manual climate controls. I just don't like the automatic climate controls. I think that Ford's system, again, works a lot better than that from General Motors, but I still prefer to control the system myself, and I always end up overriding it just by virtue of the fact that I want to have the fan speed kicked up a little bit most of the time when I'm driving. I know some of you are probably looking at the controls on your screen right now and you're saying, well, that's turned off, Bill, and you're right. It is, because I wanted to keep the wind out of the camera and the noise down a little bit. Plus, it's a beautiful day out. It's about 52 degrees as I'm shooting this. This was supposed to be just a brief little closing note, and look at this. I'm already at the 2-minute mark, and I'm engaging in epic level storytelling about things that most of you probably really don't care about, so I'll try to go ahead and get this closed up. Headphone users, hold on to your ears. We might have some low frequency disturbance here from going over some railroad tracks. Alright, now that we're done with that, the other thing that I vastly prefer about my wagon and my truck, though I know that these were certainly available on the Mercury Grand Marquis, though I think you had to take a much lower trim level to get them, is the cloth seats. I'm not a fan of leather seating surfaces. To my way of thinking, they're very high upkeep. I think vehicles that have leather seating surfaces unavoidably smell funny. I suppose it's just the conditioning chemicals and the dyes that are used to prepare the leather for its future life as a seat covering surface. But I'd really much rather have cloth seats, even though the leather ones are at least superficially easier to clean up. You know, liquids don't tend to get absorbed into leather so easily, although they can certainly stain. But yeah, I just prefer having a cloth seat. I feel it grips better. I feel more comfortable sitting in one. It's just that sort of peccadillo that, you know, makes us all individuals. Boy, those were some rough railroad tracks. Alrighty, everybody, what I'm really getting at here is how pleased I am to have my truck back, and I certainly thank you for having invested the time in watching this video. And if you have a comment, well, by all means, do feel free to leave one. I look forward to hearing your views on the subject at hand and any interesting insights that you might have to offer about what you've just watched.